2007. That was the year that broke the straw on the camel's back. In that year, an individual named Sam Quinn died at the hands of police officers, becoming another black man that was unjustly killed by police. However, this time it was different. Perhaps people were tired of the so-called normal. Perhaps it had something to do with how Sam died. Or maybe people choose this time to finally rise. Regardless, when news reports spoke about his death, the people struck back, and they struck back hard. Protest and riots swept the nation, and pretty soon people were chanting Sam's name over and over again. However, to understand why this was happening, we need to start at the beginning. You see, historically, black people didn't exactly fare well in America. Whether it be the 400 years of slavery, or the Tulsa massacre, which happened more than once. When you look at these cases, you see people that are being mistreated just because they're different. With that said, you have those like Confederate defenders trying to defend or deny the real inhumane treatment that took place during those times. One of many things black people are forced to deal with. Fast forward now, and people want you to believe that everything is okay. That what happened then was bad, sure, but at least now black people are better off. They aren't. People often forget that America was founded upon racism, mistruths, and violence. Let's use someone like Christopher Columbus for example. They want you to believe that he was the first person to discover America. Wrong. Leif Erikson was a Norse explorer who discovered America 500 years earlier than Columbus. Not to mention that because of Columbus, many natives ended up enslaved. Now you could very well argue that something like this wasn't exactly his fault, but there's no denying that he was a part of it. That is just one of the many lies told by American history. With that said, in today's society, black people are still facing an enemy they met 400 years ago. White supremacy. White supremacy is the belief that white people constitute a superior race and should therefore dominate society. If you don't believe that, then look no further than past President Ronald Reagan. It's people like him who are enemy number one to the black community. Of course, you're always gonna see a few examples here and there, but that's because they want to hide it. If they failed to do that, it would become something that no one can deny. That's the problem, though. Not everyone wants to accept the fact that they live in a nation of oppression. Whether it's you being oppressed or the people around you. Living in a false reality is better than living in the real one. I suppose the real question is, which one do you prefer? For one family, the answer is simple. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Breaking news: a peaceful protest has turned violent downtown. We have live footage of the event. The camera cuts out, and what you see can only be described in one word: chaos. People were flipping cars, looting stores, and setting nearly everything else on fire. This just in: we have a news reporter on the screen. The screen cuts to a news reporter. Said individual looked to be on edge. Regardless, we didn't have to wait long for him to speak. What you see around here is complete and utter chaos. From what I've heard, this protest started relatively peacefully. At least until someone in the crowd smashed the window of a local store. After that, things quickly spiraled out of control. This is just one of the dozens of riots that are happening across the nation. Ever since the death of Sam Quinn, there has been civil unrest. With new militias being formed and police officers being targets of various shootings, many people are fearing that America is on the verge of collapse. Suddenly you heard a pair of sirens going off in the distance. The camera then turned around to reveal several people fleeing from the scene. However, there was still a good number that chose to stay behind. The news reporter was quick to speak upon discovering this new development. Looks like the local police have finally arrived on the scene. I suspect them to use whatever force necessary to regain order. Lord only knows we need it. Asterisk asterisk. Breath in. Breath out. I spot two in range. A voice spoke. The voice was youthful, a male by the sound of it. Regardless, Amani felt herself visibly relax. After a moment she peers into the scope. It didn't take her long to spot them. I see them. It was two police officers. One male looked to be in his early 30s or 40s. The other was female. Young, blonde, somewhere in her earlier to late 20s. Both officers were only 2 blocks away from their current position. Too focused on the crowds of people rather than their surroundings. I got my eyes on the big guy. She frowned. No, I got my eyes on the big guy. Beside her, she heard a snort. Not gonna mess up this time. Amani tensed. I'll be fine. Another snort. Amani gritted her teeth. Silence. From the scope, she watched more officers along with SWAT arrive at the scene. They're running out of time. Andres. She heard a sigh emulate from beside her. Don't miss. Amani couldn't help but frown at those words. I won't. She felt him nod at this. On 3. She aimed at the officer's head. 1. She breathed in, heart pumping. 2. She breathed out. 3. She pulled the trigger. Bang. Bang.